For Titanfall 2's first birthday, we're going to be receiving some more updates, some more balance changes to the game, a few of which are very surprising. Let's take a look at what they are and what they mean for you. Let's dive right in. The R201 and the R101 are going to be receiving some nerfs. Their view kick and hipfire spread are both being increased. So what does this mean? First up, we have view kick. This is basically recoil. So what it means is every single time a bullet is fired from your weapon, your aim is moved up, down, left, right, diagonal, some random direction as determined by the game, and it is in a direction that you generally cannot predict, and in an amount that you generally cannot predict within a certain range. So basically, this is what adds the RNG, this is what adds the randomness to your weapons. So every single weapon that you fire is not a laser beam. It has recoil, it has punch, it has feeling to it. So they're making that punch, that recoil, a little bit higher this patch. So it should theoretically be a little bit more difficult to control. Secondly, we have that hipfire spread being increased. You can think of hipfire spread almost like a cone. So imagine that your pilot is holding their gun out, right? You have a cone emanating from the front of that barrel. So every time you pull the trigger, your bullet can deviate from the center of your aim point within a certain number of degrees in that cone. What they're doing now is increasing the size of that cone. They're increasing the radius of that cone. So that means that whenever you pull the trigger and you're not aiming down sights, your bullet can travel randomly in a direction farther away from that center point. At least that is how I understand it. But essentially that is going to be how the R101 and 201 are being nerfed. They're going to have more view kick, so it's going to be more recoil. They're going to have a bigger hipfire spread, which means that your bullets are less likely to go where you're actually trying to aim them if you are hip firing. Now when you're aim down sights, that hipfire spread change obviously means nothing to you. The aim down sights accuracy will remain identical, but that view kick, that's not the spread, that view kick, which is the recoil, is going to be increased just a little bit, and it hopefully should make tracking a little bit harder to accomplish. Next up, we have a recoil reduction for the Flatline. So this should essentially be the opposite of what happens to the R201 and the R101. The Flatline should generally be more accurate now. It shouldn't randomly move left and right as much as it used to, which should hopefully make the gun a lot more usable on PC when aiming down sights and using it quote-unquote properly, which is kind of a hard concept to wrap your head around in a game like Titanfall, which is really all about hipfire in a lot of ways. That Flatline should hopefully feel much better to use for PC players, which is great, and hopefully the controller players will be okay with it as well, because I think that gun has been a very tumultuous relationship with the console player base. I think that it's been very underpowered, then it's gone to very overpowered. It's just been going back and forth, and I've seen very much so varying opinions on this weapon over the course of Titanfall 2's lifespan, so hopefully they're getting this one into a closer spot. I know that particularly for keyboard and mouse users, this is a good change. Hopefully this does not screw up controller players too much as a side effect of that. Next up, we have arc grenades are getting a huge change, and this only applies to multiplayer. So arc grenades are effectively Semtex from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 now. They're basically just sticky grenades. So you throw them wherever they land, whatever is the first target that they hit, they will stick to, and then explode after 3/4 of 1 second. So I don't really know how big of an effect this is going to have on the game. I think it should have a pretty positive change upon the way that pilot versus pilot fights go in multiplayer, because generally in multiplayer, and this is one of those things that I complain about all the time, is that arc grenades are too good, they're too strong, they're too viable in all roles, in all situations. Arc grenades are pretty much the best ordnance to always use ever, and anything that makes them harder to hit, that makes them require a little bit more skill, a little bit more planning, a little bit more aim to use effectively, is a good change in my book. So getting rid of that instant detonation upon hitting a wall or ground, and instead forcing an arc grenade user to actually think just a modicum when using their grenade is probably a good change for the game and should make it play much better overall, while still letting the grenades stay very effective against Titans. That's the key thing. Arc grenades need to exist to control enemy Titans, and a 0.75 second detonation timer I don't think is going to be the end of the world against Titans, because generally they're going to be slow enough that you can, and not even just slow enough, but predictable enough that you can lead that grenade and still hit them just fine. So the arc grenade should be identical versus Titans while being worse against pilots. This is a really, really elegant change to the grenades that I don't think I ever would have thought to suggest ever before, and it seems so simple. Like, yeah, that's a really cool idea, and I hope that it works well for the game. I think that arc grenades should hopefully be a lot less lame than they were before. Next up, we have an even bigger, more surprising, more out-of-nowhere change. The Mozambique and the Wingman Elite are being buffed, and they're now able to be equipped as primaries. So we don't have a lot of details on this yet. There's a few different theories circulating. Either A, the Mozambique Wingman Elites are being moved to the primary slot, meaning that they are no longer secondaries. B, they exist in both slots, and you can pick them either as a primary or as a secondary. Or C, there's going to be new variants of the Mozambique Wingman Elite, where if you put it in the primary slot, it'll be powered up, whereas if you put it in the secondary slot, it'll be at the current game's balance before this 1 year Halloween patch deal. So essentially, it would be like you put it in the primary slot, and then the Mozambique gets that magazine size and fire rate buff, and the Wingman Elite gets that damage buff that it's getting, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute here. But that is a third possible theory of how it's exactly going to be changed. The patch notes are, as always, undescriptive of the actual changes that are happening. So unfortunately, we're not positive how that changes, but I think, just judging by my understanding of English and I think the intention behind it, is that I think it's option A. I think that they are simply able to be chosen in either slot, primary or either the secondary slot, and the changes are going to be just across the board. Doesn't matter where you put it, but you could just put it in either of those spots now. So that's kind of interesting. If you want to have a Wingman Elite as a primary and then have, like, I don't know, a Hammond as a secondary or something, you can totally do that now alongside of having an anti-Titan weapon, which is kind of nifty, I guess. I don't know. It's not bad change, just different. Next up, we have the Mozambique changes, which I mentioned before. So the Mozambique is now fully automatic, has 2 more shots, and the fire rate has been increased. So they previously, I think, nerfed the fire rate of the Mozambique. So now I'm assuming that it's either going to be somewhere in between where it was before and the current value, or it might just go back to the previous value, right back when the game launched. Really not sure what they're actually making it, but hey, 2 more shots in mag, fully automatic. Sounds like a straight-up better Mastiff, like it already was anyways. So you could pretty much safely put this gun in your primary weapon slot instead of a Mastiff, and probably be a lot more consistent and have a lot more fun in general, because who doesn't like a full auto shotgun? Come on, that's almost always more fun than like a really slow pump shotty, but I guess it depends on the kind of person you are. So really, to speak straight up just to game balance, I think that the Mozambique is straight up a better Mastiff in most cases. Not always, of course, but in most general use cases, the Mozambique will probably be more consistent for you. But if you're looking for that fun factor of the one-shot boomstick, then the Mastiff is still a usable selection, I suppose. Next up, we have the Wingman Elite changes. So the damage values and the magazine size has been increased for the Wingman Elite. So I'm assuming this also means we're going to those pre-patch values where you have the Wingman Elite doing 50 damage per shot, or perhaps even more. So that way, at least within its close effective range, it's still a 2-shot kill. I'm not familiar with the exact damage numbers currently. I don't have them in my brain anymore. I used to have all that stuff memorized, but that's all been pushed aside, unfortunately. So I'm not quite sure where the Wingman Elite is at right now, but I believe that it's a 3-shot. Unless you get a headshot, then it's a 2-shot. So this should hopefully bring that Wingman Elite back up to a 2-shot kill, at least within a decent range, and then it'll drop to 3 later on. I mean, honestly, where the Wingman Elite was at before the patch was quite fine. It wasn't ridiculously overpowered. It was just a good, solid gun that if you spent the time to get good with, you were rewarded, and that's not a bad thing. So hopefully we're back at least close to that state, and also getting those 2 more. Well, I guess I don't know 2 more. It's the Mozambique that's getting 2 more, but we're getting a few more, an undisclosed number of bullets extra in the magazine. So I'm assuming that's 2 to bring us back to 6 or 8 with extended mag. So that seems fine to me. Now, they're also changing the turrets, and this change seems kind of complicated and weirdly described. So I hope that I'm interpreting it right. So I'm just going to read exactly what has been written by Garza here. So turrets now have increased health and take more damage from pilot weapons. So effectively, the turrets are going to have more health, they take more damage from pilot weapons. So I would assume primary weapons like the R201 will deal extra damage to it, and you should effectively have the same number of bullets to kill on the turrets as a pilot. It says double damage from anti-Titan weapons and grenadier weapons and ordnance abilities. So I would imagine that is, well, obviously that is like an archer rocket if you shoot an archer rocket, or a thunderbolt at one of those things, and it'll do double the damage that it used to. So effectively, those should be more effective than they are now, because I don't think turret health is being doubled, but if damage against turrets is being doubled, then that paradigm shift is in favor of those anti-Titan weapons doing better against those things, which is pretty good in my opinion. Same thing with grenadier weapons. Double damage seems good. And ordnance abilities doing double damage. I assume that means Titan ordnances, or if that means just grenades in general. I assume they probably mean both, because both are technically considered ordnance abilities. And then we finally have triple damage from primaries. So turrets have their health going up, but pilot primaries do triple the damage that they did before. So turrets are going to die very quickly to something like a Devotion, a Spitfire, an R97. Anything that has a very high rate of fire is going to have generally the biggest benefit from a triple damage boost. So the only thing that is really changing here is that turrets die faster to anything a pilot does. Anything a pilot does to a turret will kill a turret faster now. But Titans cannot kill turrets as effectively as they could before. Titans are still doing identical damage to turrets. So that means that your melee attack as a pilot is going to deal orders of magnitude more damage than a Tone firing a 40mm cannon at a turret, right? So a North Star with a fully charged railgun is going to be less effective than generally anything a pilot can do, which is very strange to me, but at the same time, I think it's actually really okay. I think it's probably good for the game, because turrets, at least the anti-Titan turrets, are a joke. They do really no damage for the most part and are not reliable in actually hitting enemy Titans most of the time, so giving them a bunch more health against Titans seems really good to me. Making them a little bit more annoying to deal with as a Titan seems to be essentially a buff to the Titan Sentry, which is kind of cool. Making Titans less effective against pilot sentries as well seems fine, because pilot sentries are meant to control pilots, not Titans. They might damage Titans every now and then, but they're meant to control pilots. So making the Titans commit a little bit harder on those and giving the pilots putting those turrets down time to shoot the Titans that are distracted by the turrets seems fine. I don't think this is going to disrupt the balance of the game. I don't think it's going to hurt the game. I think it'll just make the anti-Titan Sentry better, and it will make turrets generally less annoying for players to deal with. So I think a lot of people on Reddit and online are maybe misinterpreting this change, but then again, maybe I'm misinterpreting this change because it's not the most clearly worded thing in the world. So I think I broke it down, like, just again, the most clearly and obviously Occam's razor style way that I could think of, and hopefully that's right. For Titans, we have North Star getting a small buff to hover, so you're going to move faster now during hover, and your cluster missile speed has been increased. I honestly have no idea at all as to why cluster missile speed was buffed. I don't think anyone was complaining about that. I don't think there was any issue with that, especially with it being perfectly accurate like it is in this game, but I'm not complaining. Like, it's fine. It's not hurting the game. It's not upsetting balance. It's just a change that I really don't understand what the reasoning behind it was. I don't know why this change happened, but it happened, or rather it will happen in a couple of days here. But then again, if you're watching this in the past, it did happen, so whatever, fine. Okay, modes, attrition, score limit increased to 650, and time limit increased to 15 minutes. What? Why? It's not, I don't know if that's bad or good. It's a huge change. The game is going to play much more differently now. There's effectively going to be 2 major waves of Titan drops now, because effectively what happens is Team A drops their Titans first, Team B gets wrecked for a little while but responds with their own Titans, and then they come to endgame, and it's more about Team B. How much is Team B dominating Team A in the second half? Can they stop Team A from getting Titans? Can they use their cores that they have to blow up the second wave of Team A Titans right away to secure that victory? And now what's going to happen is Team A is absolutely positively going to get that second wave of Titans out for their team. No doubt about it. They will have a second wave minimum. And now it's going to be, that impetus is going to be on Team B, who did not get the first Titans, to then retaliate in the very last, 100 points or so of attrition to get that second Titan wave. So instead of there being one big Titan battle, there's now going to be two big Titan battles in attrition. So I don't know if that's bad for the game. In my personal opinion, I'm not a big fan, just because I really prefer the pilot play in Titanfall 2. I mean, I don't dislike Titan play, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the intermixing of pilot and Titan play. I like pilots versus pilots only, and I like Titans versus Titans only. When you have pilot versus Titan in any capacity, I stop liking the interaction, and I think that it's less fun. So making attrition last even longer is, for me personally, a bad change. It doesn't mean that it's a bad change for you. It doesn't mean it's a bad change for the game. It's just, in my opinion, I don't like it because Titanfall is a game with admittedly dwindling player base, especially on PC, especially when I try to play, which is usually during the daytime or in the morning in my time zone. So not only do I have to play overseas on European servers to get matches effectively and quickly, I now have to play attrition all the time, which I always had to play, but I mean, I have to play attrition in a way that is less fun for me. I really only have fun in attrition for the first 2 minutes when everyone's a pilot, and then once the Titans start dropping, my level of fun starts dropping very quickly with the game. So I'm sad about this change. I really wish that there was like an attrition nitro where it was just no Titans, no boosts, just pilots and grunts and just farm really fast and get good kill streaks and stay alive, and no Titans, right? And no boosts. That would be like my ideal attrition. But obviously that, I'm in the minority. That's never ever going to happen, never going to be a thing. So it's not worth getting upset over, but it is a little disheartening that attrition is making this change. But, if you love the Titan play, you love the atmosphere of Titanfall, just the whole experience of it, and attrition is that thing for you that really ticks for you, that really just makes you want to keep coming back and playing, then I hope you enjoy these brand new changes, because these are for you. It's not for the vocal, salty crybaby minority like me. It's for the actual real average player like you guys. And if you like attrition and this is a good change for you, let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this, because it's, I don't know, I don't have a good tap on the community like I used to. I've been kind of detached from Titanfall lately, so I hope that this is something that people are really looking for and are really going to enjoy. But let's move on. Let's not sit on this any longer. It's been like 30 minutes on just this topic alone. Frontier Defense. I am self-admittedly not a big Frontier Defense fan. Great game mode, cool game mode. Not a thing I find fun. Don't really like shooting bots as much. So, arc traps now cost $650. I think they cost $400 or $500 before, so they're a little more expensive now. Okay, I don't know why they're nerfing them, but okay. Amped batteries are down to $400. I think they used to be $1,000, so that's kind of cool. That makes amped batteries not the worst thing to pick. It's not like a waste of money because you're not taking 2 arc traps instead. You're actually going to be able to help yourself, help your teammates, do cool stuff, keep your Titan longer for cheaper. It promotes team play, promotes the person who wants to be the healer, who's playing Monarch with the shield buff ability, and getting batteries in their teammates and keeping the Titans up. If they want to play that role, it's now cheaper for them to do so while still helping the team by putting arc traps up, by putting turrets up, by getting those invulnerability packs for the Harvester. Seems fine. I'm not opposed to that in any way, shape, or form. There's also some changes for join-in-progress players now receiving money for each wave completed, so that means they're not going to join into a match with $0 because they're in wave 4 already. They're going to get retroactive money to start spending and helping their team out, so it's going to help the overall balance of Frontier Defense in a great, great way. Players are now also getting 5 seconds of invulnerability after jumping out of the dropship. Not sure why that wasn't there already, especially with the advent of all those freaking ticks on war games, but glad this is happening. It's going to make Frontier Defense just that little bit less frustrating sometimes on the higher difficulties. Finally, they fixed a bug with arc traps staying on the ground after a loss or after they get picked up and replaced. So effectively, if you were to lose a round, all those arc traps that you placed would stay, and then you would be refunded on your money in arc traps, as far as I know, and you could place more and more and more. So you would get a lot of free stuff that you were not supposed to be getting, so that is now fixed. And then the same thing is happening with the pickup and replacing of arc traps. You're not going to get free arc traps anymore. Next up, we have a quick change to private match. You can now get Aegis XP in private match. So if you do a Frontier Defense game in private match, you're going to get your Aegis experience, all the same. That's going to be just fine. Reapers are getting nerfed, and I'm sure this is much to the joy of most of the Titanfall community, myself included. They are now going to take more damage from pilot weapons, which so double damage from all pilot weapons, and then triple damage from other primaries, I guess. I'm kind of confused about this. Maybe I need to read this a little bit more. 2x damage from AT weapons, grenadier weapons, and ordnance abilities, and then 3x from other primaries. Okay, so it's the same change as what happened to turrets before. So your R101, triple damage. Your rocket launcher, your thunderbolt, your charge rifle, double damage. Softball, double damage. Frag grenades, double damage. Fine, sure, whatever. But to counteract this, the Reaper health has been increased to 3,500, which is up from 3,000. So if I'm interpreting these patch notes correctly, Titans are going to be worse against Reapers now. Titans are going to do less damage to Reapers overall by comparison. Well, rather, they're not dealing less damage, but there's more health, so it's going to be a longer time to kill on the Reapers. But to counteract this, what they have done is they've made the Reapers dodge less frequently. So they're going to be a little easier to hit. So it should kind of be a wash. You're going to have to spend more ammo, technically, but at the same time, you're going to be missing them anyways. So whenever they dash, God, I combine that in 2 words into one. Whenever they dash, you were missing anyways. They're going to do that less frequently. You're going to have less misses. It's going to be a wash. But they're also increasing projectile speed and accuracy against Titans. So Reapers are really being put into this category of anti-Titan AI minions. They're going to really be good at blowing your Titan up, so you need to respect them more. You can't stand in their spawn and farm them as much as you could before. Now, I'm sure you still can, and that's fine, but it's going to be a little bit less effective, and it's going to make attrition a little bit less snowbally, which is really, really good. Attrition has had the problem of being very snowbally since the game first came out, so it took them a year, but they're finally making some changes that push that snowball, or rather start to put the brakes on that snowball. So that's really, really good. I think there was also a change where the Reapers were only going to be getting 3 points instead of 5 for attrition. Yeah, okay, so I missed that before. The Reapers are now worth 3 points instead of 5. So that is also the one big thing that's affecting the way that snowballing is going to work in attrition. So that is, in fact, a very good change for the game mode, and I'm happy to see that happening. Tactical abilities are getting changed ever so slightly. Grapple now has 1 charge that recharges faster, but we don't know how fast it recharges. This effectively kills the playstyle of using the grappling hook as a quick method of just adjusting your vector. So if you're doing like wall hop into wall hop and moving around walls, and you just want to very quickly turn a corner that you otherwise couldn't because you're going too fast and your airstrafes won't allow you to do so, for example, the grapple was great to just let you make tight cuts and quick adjustments in your movement to get that speed that you want to get and get that mobility that you want to get. But now, with only 1 charge, this grappling hook is only really effective for getting that one big, really dumb grapple hook super pro elite swing thing. And you could watch a video, I'll link down in the description box about that if I remember. But basically, you can only do that one time, and using it for quick adjustments is kind of just been nerfed into the ground. I really would have liked to see grapple go into some sort of a position where instead of having charges, it straight up operates just on a one really big charge that goes very granularly from 100 to 0. So if you grapple somewhere really far away and you do the big grapple swing, you use 100% of that meter. If you take just a small adjustment, you'll use maybe 15, 20, 25, 30% of that meter. But you can instantly grapple again. As long as you have at least a minimum amount of that meter available, you can grapple, grapple, grapple. So if you want to use your grapple very rapidly, just one after the next, after the next, after the next, to make very small very small adjustments, you can do that. But if you want to use it for that big, stupid, annoying swing that breaks the hit detection in the game, then you can only do that once. You can't do it twice. So that is the position I would have liked to see grapple go. I don't know if we're ever going to see that. We probably won't, but really, they're just hurting the people who use grapple honestly, and still allowing the grapple swing tech to be a thing, which I'm not a big fan of. I've never really liked it being in the game. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's fun. It feels awesome, but it also causes issues. It breaks hit detection, especially on pings greater than like 60 or 80. It really, really hurts hit detection. So it's a problem for really high-level play like in CTF, but then again, there's very few people doing that anymore, so they're kind of a non-issue. I don't know if this is going to make the public level Titanfall 2 better or worse anymore. I think it's just going to hurt it. I don't think it's going to make Titanfall better. I think this is a change that probably shouldn't have happened and may even need to be reverted just to let people have fun, because, I mean, games are meant to be played to have fun with, right? And not letting people do the fun thing of the big, huge grapple swings over and over might be a problem. Hollow Pilot is being buffed. It is now getting its recharge 4.1 seconds more quickly. Hollow Pilot is still terrible, but it's not as terrible, so that's good. Tactical is going to make you get it faster when you shoot one out and you get one kill and you get that charge back like instantly, so that's pretty good. It's pretty neat, but it's still terrible, but it's less terrible, so I can't complain about Hollow Pilot being less terrible. It shouldn't be terrible. It doesn't deserve to be terrible, but it kind of is, but hopefully this makes it less terrible, I guess. I don't know. Pulse Blade. These buffs are stupid. I just straight up, I don't, okay, I don't understand why this happened. Let me try to be a little bit more cordial about this. Pulse Blade cooldown decreased to 25 seconds from the previous 40 seconds. And the pulse duration is decreased to 4.5 seconds from 6. So the thing about Pulse Blade is that the duration was never really the problem. That initial wall hack and the first 2 to 3 seconds after that initial wall hack happens were really all that you needed to place where the enemies are, get a feel for what's happening, and then get your really cheap, unfair kills on those people effectively. Decreasing 1.5 seconds on duration does not really nerf the Pulse Blade, but dropping that cooldown by 15 seconds makes a huge difference, because now, instead of needing to get 3 to 3.5 kills with the Pulse Blade, or rather after using the Pulse Blade along with your Tactical to get it back quickly, now you're going to be down to a really solid 2 kills after using your Pulse Blade while using Tactical as well to get that Pulse Blade back again. So effectively now, using Pulse Blade, getting 2 kills, Pulse Blade 2 kills, Pulse Blade 2 kills, and going on really long sprees of constantly having wall hacks on the enemy team is going to happen much more frequently. I think this is a bad change for the game. I think this really hurts the game. I think this is going to be a fan of every sweaty tryhard out there ever. And I think it's going to make the game a lot less fun to play. I think it makes Tactical even more of a must-pick than it already was. And believe me, Tactical has been a must-pick since before Titanfall 2 even came out. Since all the pre-release stuff, where at least for me in particular, when I was playing pre-release and doing some like influencer stuff with Respawn and EA, Tactical has always been the only pick for attachments on 99% of guns, 99% of the time. And this just makes Tactical even more necessary as a player, and I don't like that. I think that maybe this isn't a problem with Pulse Blade. This is a symptom of Tactical. Tactical needs to go. It's so bad for the game. I mean, it's not bad for the game. It feels awesome. It feels so cool. I love that it's in the game, but at the same time, it breaks the crap out of the game, and it's just such a weird ability, and I love it and I hate it, and I don't think that the way Pulse Blade and Tactical are going to interact in this patch is going to be healthy. I think this change pushes things over in a way that should not be. I think this is going a little too far with the Tactical meme, and I hope that this doesn't end up really hurting the game on consoles, because I have a sneaking suspicion that it might. Next up, oh my god, my voice is dying. Did you just hear me that? Like, right, my voice just completely gave up on that last sentence. Ugh, been talking for like 30 minutes straight. Okay, new featured modes. We have Tactical Attrition, Attack on Titanfall, and the Great Bamboozle. So, Tactical Attrition, all tactical cooldowns are reset to full charge when killing an enemy pilot. Okay, so this is just a for fun, whatever game mode, which completely just like goes along with that whole tactical rant. So I mean, fine, whatever. It's meant for fun. It's not meant to be balanced. Just don't get mad about it. Just go have fun and shoot people with overpowered stuff. It's fine. It's cool. Just don't worry about it. Attack on Titanfall. Everyone has 3 charges for grapple. Okay, sure, could be fun. Why not? The Great Bamboozle. Everyone has Hollow Pilot. I'm actually a big fan of this. I really hope that in the Great Bamboozle, not only do they force everyone to have Hollow Pilot, they also force everyone to use a Hollow Pilot Nova, and they disallow Titans. I think that is going to be the perfect way to play this mode. You have to have no Titans. Everyone has to have nothing but Bamboozles at any one point in time. That is absolutely just the best thing I've ever heard about happening to Titanfall 2 in terms of a featured game mode. I love this idea. This is going to be really fun for a lot of people, and I hope that the Great Bamboozle stays, or at least comes back in rotations, because it's going to be a good meme. It's going to be a very good meme. Finally, we have some bug fixes. There's a bug fix for Tone's particle wall where it took more damage whenever you shot a hit scan weapon at the particle wall and there was an enemy Titan directly behind it. This is why, for example, people always thought that, oh, arc rounds on Monarch makes the particle wall take more damage. And it's like, no, it doesn't. They actually make nearly no discernible difference whatsoever. The problem is that when you shoot a hit scan weapon, like the chain gun, like Legion's minigun, the Predator cannon, like pretty much any pilot primary, if you shoot it at a Titan and your crosshair is red, you know, you're getting aim assist, you're locked on, whatever, and there just so happens to be a particle wall in between you and that enemy, the particle wall was taking magnitudes of extra damage when it should not have been. So that bug, which has been in the game since Monarch released, which is what, like 6 months now or something like that? Unbelievable, right? I don't even know how long, but it feels like maybe 6 months or so. That bug has been in the game since then, and it's finally been fixed. So that's really going to change the dynamic of Titan versus Titan battles and competitive Titan versus Titan fights, which is still a thing, thankfully. Competitive CTF is kind of like completely dead almost, but competitive LTS, as far as I know, is still sort of kind of happening every now and then. So this is a really big change. It's going to finally fix the game at a competitive level for Tone. Tone is going to be a lot better now, so that's really, really nice. The pilot loadout menu now is going to properly display weapon skin names in the description area. Apparently that was a problem before. I didn't know that, but okay, whatever. And we're having a PC-only bug fix where highlights appearing was cut off when super sampling was enabled. So I believe that what they mean by that is that, you know how every pilot glows red or blue, depending on what team they are? There's just that small, ever so slightly noticeable outline around them that is red or blue. That was apparently being cut off when you were using super sampling. Now, if you're a console player and you have no idea what that is, don't worry about it. It doesn't affect you. But if you're a PC player specifically using the super sampling function, you should be able to see pilots a little bit more easily now, which you should if you're super sampling. That's the whole point. So anyways, guys, that will finally do it for the update here. Thank you all so much for going through this slog of an update video, which somehow made it to be over 32 minutes long. Unbelievable, but hey, it's a frothy video, so hope you had your popcorn. Hope you had your sandwich. Hope you're doing okay there. You're not comatose. But anyways, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Probably won't be Titanfall. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll see. Thanks again. See you next time. Take care, guys.